welcome back to another Young Blooms Flower School tutorial. Lovely to have you with me, and thank you for watching as always. I really appreciate it, and thank you to the new subscribers as well. Do click and like videos, click the subscribe button. It really helps me, really inspires me to keep adding content and keep seeing what you guys like and don't like. So this is another no floral foam number. And hopefully you can tell what it is. I made this out of old clematis vine. So I think I've mentioned on tutorials before, I have a big clematis bush outside the back of my house, and I try and take sort of in the winter time when it's died back, I take cuttings. And so this is just a collection of old branches, really, old stems. I found the thicker ones are more malleable. The thinner ones tend to break and they get quite brittle quite quickly once they dry out. So I started by getting the first piece and wiring it here. Just wiring it really tightly and making sure I twisted it so it was just nice and tight. And then it was a full circle, so two pieces I met here. I bent them round, so it was a circle. I snipped it here and then sort of bent them back in on themselves to get the heart shape. And then just added a couple more pieces wide again here and here, and then just added collections of stems and used string. So this is just garden string, just wrapping it round and round and round quite tightly, so that I had my base. It's still not quite level, so I'm going to just spend some time leaving it in a shape. When we put something heavy, you know, you could put a vase or whatever, just something heavy that just sits where you want it to stay, and then that'll force it into the shape that you want. Okay, so this is the no floral foam part. I have a box of flat moss here, which I can buy from the wholesaler. If you're going to forage moss, do forage it sensibly. Do ask permission, etc, etc, all that kind of stuff. Don't just go and grab it where you can. But I can buy it in boxes like this, and it's lovely and thick, and easy to create with what you need it for. So that's my moss, and I essentially want to create a floral heart. Use this as the basis, and get away with not using oasis, so to create a really full floral heart, and just use moss. So I have string and I have moss. So what I'm simply going to start doing is taking my moss. I'm going to start by tying this on first. Oops, try again. And I think with no floral foam, as always, you know, it's about experimentation. It's about working out what works for you in various situations. I'm really excited. This Saturday we have our first gathering from the flower school. We're doing an outside workshop. But that's going to be all no floral foam. So using stuff from the tutorials that people have seen, I'm going to be able to experiment with that. This is just, so I've just broken off a piece of moss, and I'm simply just strapping it on, pulling it quite tight. And getting it round. Okay, so I might just pull off those bits, just because it'll look a bit weird otherwise. And then I'm just going to simply work my way round. Okay, so I'm going to just carry on working my way round the heart, strapping this stuff on. And I've deliberately not made the base of the heart very wide, because by the time you put moss on, you can see it's sort of increasing the width of the heart quite a lot. So already it's got a nice chunky feel to it. You can see it's sort of starting to take shape quite nicely. And again, you know, as always with anything that you, like garlands or anything like that, making sure that you keep your string or wire or whatever you're using quite close to your hand, because there's nothing worse than having to constantly run and gather up your flying away string. So it's kind of moulding itself quite nicely round the heart. And this feels like a really easy way to do it. So I'm going to essentially, I think, strap the flowers to the heart as I've done with the moss. That's my theory at the moment, my working theory. But we'll see. There we go. Right, I will carry on and come back to you when it's all done. Okay, so I've just literally finished wrapping the moss round, gone all the way around the heart. I left the bottom here bare because it just kind of looks nice. It's a bit sort of rustic, as is the whole creation. And so that should give you an idea of how to make the base. And I think going forward, you know, this would work if you wanted to do a funeral piece as a heart. This would work as a sustainable sort of way of doing that. I think lying it on the, or hanging it on the door would be perfectly possible. You'd probably have to here and here, just think about weight issue. But I've got a macrame wall hanging that I'm working on at the moment that I want to hang this on when it's done. But I will show you that when it's finished. That's going to be really fun. The main thing is to soak this and make sure it's really, really wet. But in terms of laying the flowers, on, you know, it's really, I think it's really simple. You are simply going to create bundles. Oops. You know, you've made sure all of these flowers are really well conditioned, but you are simply creating bundles, and this moss is soaked, bundles of flowers, and binding them into place. It's that easy. And because the moss is damp, it's going to keep everything nicely hydrated. I mean, how pretty does that look? And again, just wrapping it round, making sure it's soaked. But it just feels like a very sensible and easy way to create a base that is a bit more environmentally friendly and a useful technique to learn. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Quite short, but I think quite useful. So.